Good morning, folks. Nate here with Murray Farm and Ranch. It's on a kind of a warm, sunny July morning here. It's early, sun's just come up, and I'm fixing to get really relieve some anxiety. And you might say, well, why in the world are you so anxious? Well, every year until my hay barns start getting filled up with hay, I have a certain level of anxiety. And today I'm gonna improve upon that a little bit, because we're gonna be moving some hay. I'm gonna be filling up one of the barns with some round bales, and I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about hay and about how we store it and how we utilize it. So one of the things that I definitely want to stress is, before you go getting ready to move your hay, the first thing that you need to do is make sure your equipment is in good shape. So I've got my flatbed hooked onto my pickup, and one of the most important things with these trailers is making sure that your air pressure is good in your tires. Trailer tires require quite a bit of pressure. If they start to get a little bit flat, and not even flat, but just not to the adequate pressure, they get hot, and then you're gonna peel off a tire. You're gonna have a blowout, and that's kind of a big deal. You know, when this trailer is a 24-foot trailer, I can put quite a few big round bales on this. And the round bales that I'm going to be getting today, they're anywhere from 15 to 1,700 pounds. You get 11 of those on a trailer. That's a lot of weight, and so you really don't want to blow out, you know, going highway speed. And number two, you don't want to have to be changing a tire when you got all that weight on the trailer, because it's exponentially dangerous. And so I like to do a good run through with my trailer. I check my lights, I check my tire pressure, I make sure that everything's set up with the hitch correctly, and I get all my gear that I'm gonna bring with me to go get hay. I like to make sure I have a good jack, make sure that I have the appropriate tire tool in case I do have to change a tire, and you want to make sure you have your straps and so forth to strap your back end down, the back bales of hay down. So I'm gonna check these tire pressures out real quick, top everything off, make sure they're where they need to be, and then we're gonna get ready to move some hay and get that barn filled up. And man, it's gonna be a sweet thing to see once that barn is full of hay. And man, I mean, my summertime pressure is just off at that point. It's like, all right, what can I do next? Well, guys, I'm getting a little bit of hay moved in here, getting some stacked up behind me. Now, I wanted to show you guys a couple of things that we do to try to protect our hay and make it better quality in the long run. So there are kind of two ways that round bales come, either net wrapped or string wrapped, the twine wrap. And these, I really like net wrapped bales because they shed water and they hold together really well. However, it's going to add, you know, a couple of bucks to each bale. Net wrap isn't cheap. Like I was mentioning, these are twine wrap bales, which are not going to have quite as much water shedding capacity as like a net wrap. But these are going to be inside the barn, and they're going to be well preserved until we use them. Now, we do everything that we can to make sure that we have as little hay waste as possible. Every bit of hay waste that you have, you know, ultimately cuts in on your bottom dollar and how much your gain is going to be. So there's a couple of things that we do. We try to get them inside if we can. If you notice here, my bales are on pallets. If you look down the line here, there's a row of pallets. And what I do is, in front of each row of hay, I will stick a pallet down and set the pallet on top of set the hay on top of the pallet. And that keeps any kind of moisture from coming up, and you don't get any kind of real waste on the bottom. You know, if worst case scenario, you're setting twine wrapped bales on the ground outside uncovered. And what you're going to be getting is you know, the first few inches of the bale is going to be waste all the way around it, because it's going to get wet, it's going to get moldy from the bottom, it's going to start to rot, and it's going to be too moist, and you're going to have a lot of hay waste. You know, the next better situation would be having a net wrapped bale outside on the ground. And every step that you take after that is going to be, you know, improving the amount of hay wastage that you have. So if you take those net wrap bales and then you put a hay tarp over them, or you know, you get those bales off the ground and then you put a tarp over them, or like in our case, you get them inside off the ground. These bales will last 2 or 3 years in here if we were going to you know, leave them that long. So let's talk quality for a minute. This right here is a 4x5 twine wrap bale of Bermuda grass and ryegrass. And this is put up by my neighbor. He's been putting up hay since he was like 10 or 12 years old. He's now 80, so he's pretty good at it. And this is some good quality hay. To me, it's kind of a filler hay. It's not super high protein, but it'll get the job done through the winter, and we buy quite a bit of this. I'm gonna have a barn full of this stuff that we feed throughout the winter. I'm gonna take you up to one of my other barns and show you some other hay and a little bit of a difference in that hay and why I like to have some of it available as well. So these bales behind me here are some great big bales. These are kind of our really cold weather bales, or our vacation bales. The reason why is these are bigger bales. These are 5x5s. They're net wrapped, and this is alfalfa. And these bales will weigh 1,700 pounds, whereas those bales down in the barn, in the hay barn down there, will weigh 800 to 900 pounds. These are some very densely packed, heavy, tight wrapped net bales of high quality hay. And I like to use this on the coldest winter days. I like to use it when I know that I need to give my cows a little extra nutrition. And I just feel like it heats up their belly. It helps them utilize some of the native grass. And so I like to keep some of this. I separate this hay out from the rest of it, and I basically utilize it when I feel like the conditions really require it. We will typically, you know, we don't do a lot of traveling, but if we do travel, I like these bales because I can stick a couple of them out and it'll last, for the amount of cattle that we have, it'll last until I get back because they're such big bales. And I have my cows at that time of the year separated into small enough groups that they can't go through one of these bales by the time we'll get back from wherever we're going. And so this is great wintertime feeding hay. A bale like this will be, you know, twice as expensive as the bales down at the other hay barn, but it does have a purpose, and I like to have a few of these available. I think the takeaway points is that as many things that you can do to keep weather off of your hay, the better. So, you know, if you have access to these net wrap bales, they're going to be tighter wrapped. They're going to shed the water. And if you've got a situation where you've got to have them outside, this is going to be a better deal. Second is if you can get them off the ground, that's also going to be a good thing because you're going to have no hay wastage on the bottom. You're not going to lose 4 or 5 inches of hay to moisture and rot. And so, you know, like I said, we get ours up off the ground using pallets. And then the third thing is if you can get them covered, that's going to, you know, substantially improve how much loss you have. And so in our situation, we're blessed to have some barns. And so I'll have 3 barns filled up with hay, and that will last, you know, it'll last us through the season and until the green grass comes out in the spring. And I guess the final takeaway point is it's really important to know who you're getting hay from. You know, you can get sold a bunch of junk if you're not careful. And I have a good working relationship with 2 or 3 different hay suppliers. They're you know, they're friends, they're acquaintances. You know, we treat each other right. You know, I pay them right for it, and they put up a good product. And hay, you know, hay has to be put up correctly. There's an art to putting up hay. It needs to be the right moisture content. You know, it needs to be cut at the right time. It needs to be baled at the right time, and then it needs to be stored correctly in order for it to give you the best nutrition for your cattle. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for future content. We've got lots more stuff coming with hunting and fishing and raising cattle and just our life out here in the country. God bless, and I'll see you on the next one.